Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Galaxy Equalizer, ready like Freddy. And Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. We freedom of speech is sacrosanct. Make use of it. Let no one challenge. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Studio Galaxy in Confero, hope you know. 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium, an opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is a road. Are we freedom, jealous and in Cuba? Russians and Chinese and lucky like we. Iran and North Korea wish they had it too. Most of the Caribbean lucky like we. Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Studio Galaxy in Confero, hope you know.
Welcome, welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program on Studio Galaxy 473. And we apologize for not trying to start on time. We never seem to get it right. Very rare we get it right. But this time we get it really wrong. We want to apologize. Studio Galaxy 473. And the number to call is 536-2558. And this time, no break. We get it wrong already, so we're going straight. And the topic is the farmers and a reckless, careless government. The farmers and a reckless, careless government. We are in the dead of the hurricane season. I don't think any country in the Caribbean is apprehensive and hesitant about September than us in Grenada. So when September comes, the farmers sometimes extremely worried. Based upon where you live, some people concerned about a house, but the farmers don't concern much. Oh my God, my land, my nutmeg, my cocoa. And Joshua, sometimes it's hard. And when you say a reckless, careless government, here the militants of the NDC must be saying, here they go again. But when you're a farmer and your income comes from farming, and a nutmeg tree take 10 years to mature, and a cocoa maybe 5 or 6, and you could be ruined, and it doesn't seem you could get any assistance. Joshua, yeah, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Hi, morning.
Yes, my brother. It's
Well, it's been a long time.
It's always good to have you, and it's too long we didn't have you. And the technology makes it possible now for no matter what part of the world you are in, you can call. So there is no excuse. So I have Joshua with me, and I'll just let Joshua make a few comments, and then you comment. So stay right there.
Yeah, good, good morning to everybody at home, diaspora worldwide. We're talking agriculture this morning, and just outside the studio, as I look out, the rain is coming down. It looks like an English kind of day rather than a Caribbean day. Michael, it's really wonderful to hear you online calling in. And I think sometimes we don't give you the accolade that you deserve. I say, Michael, but you're a former minister full of knowledge. You've done so much for the country over the years. And I know with the recent issues that we've been having with the fishermen, I know you have a lot of knowledge about that. And that's probably one of the reasons why you've called in, as well as the hurricane season is upon us. So, Michael, I really wanted to hear from you your thoughts in terms of how do we move forward in terms of what's going on with fisheries.
Well, first, let me say a pleasant morning to you and and my brother Francis and all the wonderful listeners out there.
Hmm.
The pleasure is mine this morning to be in such a information sharing program. It's always my pleasure to be part of that process. Well, at the moment, we seem to be heading to an unnecessary crisis. An unnecessary crisis because we have before us a pending ban on fishing, on our fish export to the United States. But before I even delve into that, let me just say how important it is for the fishing industry. Um, we have several coastal villages, and they depend heavily on the resources of the sea for their survival. And I think we need to recognize fishing contribution to our rural economy and our national economy as a whole in terms of foreign exchange, food security, employment, and so on. So the ban that we face now, or we're facing now, it is nothing unusual. From time to time, countries upgrade their sanitary, phytosanitary measures. Sometimes the HACCP standards, there's upgrade, and with different environmental groups taking over, they ask for different things from different countries shipping fish to the United States. The United States at the moment are asking for several things. They're looking at the way we fish. They they're claiming that number one, we do not collect data as to what our fishermen bring ashore. It
Oh,
may seem as a it may seem if you can stop me anytime
no, no,
you feel
no, no.
to ask questions.
We're looking towards you this morning to share
All right.
information. We will intervene very rarely. We want to hear from you because, in these times, men like you who have the experience, who've gone through similar things, we want to hear sensible discussion and sensible advice. This is not any kind of political something. This is, as you say, livelihood. So we want to hear from the expert. In times like this, I kind of wonder to myself, why have we not used people like Michael Baptiste in the Senate? Because the Senate tends to be a place where you get kind of that kind of expert knowledge. And it seems to me when we have a crisis, then we think, oh yeah, where's Michael and people like Michael? But the nation needs to hear from you. Not no party political thing, but just the facts and how we get out of this.
All right. Well, how we get out of it, we must do several things, which is not impossible. And let me say, we have time. January 1 is a good way from now. We can even have a change of government between now and January 1 if we so desire. Now, one of the first one of the first thing that we need to do, one of the first thing that we need to do is to have meeting, have consultation with the stakeholders. That's number one. Number two, we have to hire people, put them on the ground in the fisheries centers, wherever fish is landed, to collect data as to what our fishermen are bringing ashore. Number three, we need to look at the equipments that we use in, because some of the equipment that we use in, there's something called the G hook. The G hook is one that commonly used because it's cheaper. But with the G hook, whenever a bird or incidental catch is anything that you catch there that you didn't actually go for. In other words, a longliner who is fishing tuna, if he come across a dolphin, a mammal, or a turtle with the sea hook which is required, he can release that from his net and set him free. So we need to look at the equipments that we use in. We need to have a total ban on turtle. Now, over the years, we were able to argue successfully in CITES. And CITES simply mean the Convention for International Trade in Endangered Species. We were able to argue successfully that we harvest the resources of the land and sea successfully, and we do have conservation measures in place, strict conservation measures, which we call a open and closed season. And we also laid out a plan where we do not catch turtle under 24 inches. All right. Well, now they're asking for the total ban on turtle. So we need to have the consultation with our fisher folks, not just the longliners, but fisher folks throughout Grenada and villagers who live in coastal village who from time to time do a little poaching with the eggs and whatnot. We need to have consultation with them and to impress upon them the need to stop that practice as it will hinder our ability to ship the fish.
Yeah, Michael,
The third,
Michael, just a clarification. Will we need to enact legislation to
I'm coming
achieve?
to that.
Okay,
Yes, I'm coming to that. I'm outlining the way forward.
okay, sorry.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, after as I said, number one, consultation. With the fisher folks. Number two, collecting data. Number three, we need to look at legislation as it relates to the new kind of requirement that needed by the United States.
Okay,
We have our neighbor here, Saint Vincent. Saint Vincent is a whaling nation. They are required. They have permission to catch 4 minke whales per year, and they claim Aboriginal subsistence, which they look at the people in Beckway who are Arab descendants and who have a custom and a history of hunting whales. So the IWC, International Whaling Commission, have allowed St. Vincent to to continue whaling, even though whaling is outlawed internationally. So St. Vincent's allowed to collect 4 minke whales. What
mhm,
we argued then was Grenada should be allowed to eat some turtles, to catch some turtles. And we as I said, we had open season and a closed season. Well, that's shut because we didn't make representation to renew that permission that we had. So they're asking us now to put a total ban on hunting turtles.
okay,
So we need to look at the legislation that St. Vincent have, or better yet, we could look at the legislation the United States have as it relates to their fishing community in the United States. That probably would be the best course.
okay,
But the most important of all right now is the political directorate must engage the United States of America. And I say the United States, the Secretary of Agriculture, which is the equivalent of the Minister of Agriculture here. And what we need to do now is to have a stay of execution. Ask for a stay of execution of the order In other words, we're asking for mercy. We're telling them, look, we are willing to comply, but this is what we're going to do. We need consultation. We have people collecting data, um, and we are looking at the equipments that we're using. We are in the process of complying with all of that. But out of abundance of caution, we're asking for more time. Well, here's how the thing become complicated. You see, because Grenada and America, we could safely say, is technically at war, not bombs and guns, but economic war. We have several areas where we need to approach the political directors in the United States, the Secretary of Agriculture and the Secretary of Transportation. Now, one, we need to engage the Secretary of Agriculture, ask for a stay to give us enough time. The
Mm-hmm.
question is, how favorably would they look at our response? And I say so because quite recently, we're hearing from members of this government that telling the United States they could take their visa and stick it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that type of language is not useful today for negotiations because you see, they were so short sighted, they did not understand it's not just the visa. When Dennis Cornwall and the Prime Minister is making those statements, it is not just the visa that's at stake. America have several things in their toolbox that they could use against the people of Grenada, and they started using. We're looking at not
Michael,
being able to.
can I just say, so from what I'm hearing, in your opinion, or is this something common? Grenada and America is not on friendly terms.
Well, if Grenada, if the United States, if the United States have revoked the visa of a senior cabinet minister, he didn't commit a crime in the United States, but based on his utterances, based on the utterances in Parliament, you don't have to be a nuclear physicist to understand that America is saying that they're uncomfortable and they're unhappy with the present government in Grenada. It's clear to see. If they went as far as to revoke the visa, you listen to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister is making statements like we nobody's checkpoint and we are not in anybody's backyard. He's using the same old refrain that was used by Maurice Bishop in the earlier times when they dealing with Ronald Reagan. But what they fail to understand, Donald Trump is more dangerous than Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump may not drop a bomb on Grenada, but Donald Trump will put his hands in your throat and choke you economically, which is what is happening now, as I laid out. Now, one, we were able to ship to the post office, and our agriculture sector and our rural villages are affected by that, the shipment. We ship sea moss, we ship cocoa balls, we ship bottom leaf, bay leaf. There are people who do business on eBay by shipping some soursop leaf or some bobande leaf to the United States, spice and all of that. And they make a good living out of that.
Yeah, I know that's
Today, as
very
we
lucrative, Michael. I know a few people who do
right,
the soursop
uh,
tea.
okay,
Mm.
right. So as we speak now, there is a ban on shipping small packages and parcels to the United States. That that is an economic measure that is applied now that's hurting us severely. And how do we deal with that? We need to have a mature, sensible delegation to go to Washington and sit down with the authorities and ask for a way out, ask for a compromise, see what we can negotiate so as to get some reprieve. The same thing with the fishing.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to comply, but out of an abundance of caution, we need time. Because if we allow January 1 to roll upon us, and we did not come up with all the measures, and that time have expired, it means we need a new application.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Getting a new application now may require a cabinet, a cabinet member in the Trump administration who is the Secretary of Agriculture. He sits there with Marco Rubio, who are having problems with members of government on the Cuban issue. So, having an appreciation of American politics, you understand that everything affects everything. So
Hmm.
we are not so sure that even if we were to be in compliance with the legislation, with the consultation, with the collection of data, once January 1st rolls in, it means Grenada have to apply. And there's no guarantee that our application would be successful based on the present economic climate that we are having, the present political climate that we are having with the United States. But what they fail to understand, Cornwall or Andal giving up a visa, Cornwall or Andal giving up a visa, that's not in our national interest. There
Hmm.
are several people, and there are unconfirmed reports that over 75 people went to Barbados for a visa between um, July and August, and they were turned down. That is unconfirmed reports. And the report that we're getting is that some of the council officials did not even look at their documents. The
Hmm.
moment the Grenada pops up, they return the document to you and they said, we are not convinced that you would return to Grenada.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Michael,
where we go from there?
yeah. Michael, I want to go back, if I can, in terms of the fishing. I hear what you're saying about the political situation and the sensitivity, and it sounds like poor relationship that has developed. Now, from what you're saying in terms of the fishing, I heard a little background that in terms of compliance, there's been several kind of requests in the past that have not been adhered to. But in terms of the way forward, you are suggesting clearly that there's a way forward. Possibly there's time, and if there's not time, we can ask for extension to get more time. But essentially, what you're saying is that we comply and we show how we are complying, but we need more time. You also kind of mentioned the critical point to me, which is the impact on livelihoods in terms of the fishing villages, around our coastal area. So that's very important. Now, you also suggested that there need to be more boots on the ground. In your opinion, does that mean taking on like a temporary amount of staff to do the work that needs to be done? And in your kind of experience, is it feasible that we can get the work done without an extension, or we can get it done with probably one extension of another 6 months or so? Because this is bread and butter stuff to our people. It's not so much politics. It's food on the table stuff. Mm.
Well, let me answer that by giving you my personal experience of situations that we faced when I was Minister of Agriculture.
Hmm.
We faced the situation with Europe with the HACCP standard. And I remember when the fisheries officer, Mr. James Finley, during the budget debate, I believe it was in 1998, he came up and he handed me the note. He said there is urgent need for us to work on the HACCP standard because within 30 days, our fishermen would not be able to ship fish to Europe anymore. I then sent a note, passed a note to the then Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, and asking him for a meeting in the back room. We huddled in the back room. We look at what needed to be done, and immediately we set out in doing so, and we meet the requirements without much fanfare, without much
Um,
problems. We didn't go on Facebook. We didn't print it to the media. We had a situation again with ICAT. ICAT is International Convention for the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna. We had a problem with them. They were proposing an immediate ban on Grenada tuna. Because when we entered government in 1995, the National Democratic Congress, where I think was a doctor named Dr. Carl, I think you remember, they said he was advisor of advising them on fisheries policy.
Okay.
They licensed many trawlers that were depleting the stocks, not just in our waters, but in the Caribbean. They were exporting huge amount of tuna to the United States under Grenada's name because we licensed them. So they were accusing Grenada of overfishing, and they was about to pull the plug on us and say no, that's enough. Immediately, myself and the late fisheries officer wasn't Paul Philip, Isaac, right? We Crafton Isaac. We immediately journeyed to Portugal where they were meeting. And we sought a meeting with officials from ICAT, and we were armed with the data of the fishermen that we know of and the trawlers that we license. And we said, no, these trawlers that are fishing our name, we consider that to be illegal. And we gave them a list of what we have. They said, okay, they gave us a quota. We came back, we revoked all the licenses of all of these offshore trawlers that we knew nothing about, that was not in Grenada interest. And we were allowed to continue fishing trawler. The fishing. We got a quota which I don't think we'll be able to meet. Now we came back with our soursop, and that was the big one. The United States of America, the US FDA, was about to place a ban on Grenada shipping soursop. Again, I was the minister. We immediately hurried to Washington. We sent a note to our ambassador in Washington, asking to convey a meeting of urgency with the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, which is the equivalent of the Minister of Agriculture.
Yeah.
Myself and I think the late Cecil Winsborough and others. We huddled with the minister, and we impressed upon him the economic situation of our country. We are a deprived nation. We reminded him of the U.S. intervention here at the time, and we are struggling to get back on our feet. And we came out from a bad experience with the WTO when the WTO came up with some rules and regulations where the European Union stopped funding the banana industry, and we couldn't ship bananas. And we had an alternative crop which we identified, and any stoppage of that would cause serious hardship to the people of Grenada, especially rural Grenada.
Yeah.
So he looked at us and he said, what are you expecting of me to do? I said, sir, what we're expecting of you is to intervene and put a stay on the pending order and give us time. And he said, how much time is needed? When he said how much time is needed, our eyes lit up. We said, yes, we're getting somewhere. I said, well, we don't want to be too greedy. We're asking you for 90 days in the first instance. And if needs be, we will come back and ask for a little more.
Yeah.
He said, fine. He said, what are you going to do in the 90 days? And immediately I responded, I said, look, we are ready to set up sanitary and phytosanitary measures in one of our facilities in Grenada.
Yeah.
That was the marketing board.
Yeah.
And we are now extending an invitation to you, sir, to send in representative from the US FDA to journey to Grenada to see firsthand for yourself the conditions that the system that we are putting in place to cure your concerns. He said, great. He made a phone call while we're there, and spoke with some people, and he said, okay, your request is granted.
Okay.
He said, as far as the invitation to the U.S. officials, you can communicate directly to XYZ, the head of the division. He said, you don't have to come to me anymore. You can communicate with them, and you will arrange that. That was done. We invited, we facilitated the two U.S. officials from USFDA coming to Grenada. We put them up in a hotel. We housed them. We sacrificed over 100,000 pounds of soursop in front of their very eyes. And when they were satisfied that Grenada soursop had no internal feeder, as we were accused of before, we got the green light.
Yeah.
And may I say, my brother, we didn't just get the green light. Grenada today is the only country in the world that could ship soursop to the United States because we met the requirements head on. We did not cuss. We did not talk about backyard. We asked for mercy because whether we know it or not, sovereignty is not an issue at the moment because we could talk about sovereignty as much as we want. We
Yeah.
need the United States. We need the United States to accept our fishing. We need for the agriculture. We need for our tourism. We need for our transportation in the way of American Airlines and JetBlue. We need them to maintain the accreditation that they have with SGU so that American students can come here and our medical facility SGU, which is a multi-million dollar facility, we can continue to maintain that. So recognizing the importance of America to Grenada, we did not want to go to war with America at all. So we were on, if you want to call it bended knees, we were on bended knees because every statement that I make, I use the word, sir. We we pray that you would find the verbal submission that we're making here today to you. We pray that you would find it acceptable and you would revisit the situation in a favorable way as to avoid what we say would be hunger in our coastal villages, and you would have more people popping up at your embassy escaping hardship. And
Mike,
he said you made your case.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Michael, you've been wonderful in terms of the information that you've been sharing back and forth, and the information is wide and varied. It has a political component to it in terms of sovereignty, and it links the Morris Bishop period with our current period and the language that's being used. So that has come across. But the other thing that's come across, Michael, is that you saying basically what we need is an action plan going forward, and that comes across loud and clear. So what I want to do now, we want to have a little back and forth with you because Mr. Pierre's here, and I could see he has his notebook out and whatever, and there's a few little questions I want to kind of go back and forth with you about. So Francis,
No, the topic is the farmers and a reckless, careless government. And when you're dealing with the United States, you know nobody don't interfere with your independence or your sovereignty. But when I think about St. George's University, 20% plus of the GDP contribution, passport, the sailing passport that is gratis, the United States of America. When Michael come back, I expect him to buy me a rum and give me some remittance. I don't want the United States put 30% punitive tax on it. And the source of farmers must be sitting down with a hand under the chin. So Michael, go ahead.
Well, as you mentioned this our stuff, I was talking to a young man over the carnival season. We were having a little coffee over the carnival day, and he said to me he does ship soursop. I said, "Great, I'm happy to hear." I said, "Do you know the history of this shipping of the soursop thing?" He said, "No, you don't know." So I told him the story. I went by my friend Carlos up in Paul's there,
King one.
my very
King,
good friend.
yeah,
King,
Carlo.
yes. And I said to him, this or something, it was never on Facebook. It was never publicized. We were not looking for likes. I said, how are we able to ship this soursop and golden apple to the United States? Because I look at his facility and I see that he's doing a wonderful job in terms of employing local people and buying from the farmers. So when I relayed the story to him, I said, that came about as a result of the new National Party. Because, his politics is his politics, and that's something different. I'm not going to get into the aspect of his politics.
Yeah.
And I said to him, it was the new National Party that caused Grenada to be able to ship sauce up to the United States. And he was he was in shock. He never knew what entailed. I said, you may not know, but I remember after the WTO debacle, and our banana industry was in shambles when the European Union removed STABEX funding because they said they no longer subsidizing banana for export. We came across that soursop. We identified soursop as an alternative crop.
Yeah.
And I intervened with the Minister of Finance then, Dr. Mitchell, and I've asked him to please increase on the allocation for agriculture because there were some things that was not in the budget for the propagation station. Because we wanted to grow more plants, we wanted a propagation station to produce more plants so that every farmer can have free soursop plants.
Yeah.
And I said to Carlos, I said, the production of the soursop industry in Grenada today is not a result of what a bat
Yeah.
pick the soursop and drop the seeds in different parts and it growing. No, it
Yeah.
was an orchestrated effort on behalf of the then government to
Yeah.
do so.
Yeah. It's.
And may I say, hold on 1 second, may I say, the fishing community.
Mm-hmm.
It is not by accident that you see all this brand new state of the art modern fishing facilities around Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
When the government came into office in 95, I was part of the new National Party government in 95. When you pass through St. George's on Melville Street, you'll see people chopping fish by the side of the road. When we go into Grenville, you see they're doing the same thing on the sidewalks. They were chopping fish on the bayside, sometimes the same place where people walk in. And St. John's as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, no, man, this can't happen. So, recognizing the importance of fishing to our economy and especially coastal villages, we embark upon a fishery development plan.
Mm-hmm.
It was Grand Mall, where we house commercial fishery, because after the NDC left office in 1990, commercial fisheries went bankrupt. So we had to resurrect that. We started building fish markets, the infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Melville Fish Market, modern facility built by the NNP.
Mm-hmm.
St. John's Fish Market, modern facility built by the NNP.
Yeah.
Grenville Fish Market.
Mm-hmm.
And may I stay with Grenville a little bit? It was not just the fish market in Grenville, the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw men walking with bottle of gas from one gas station across to the bayside, I said, nah, this not right. I mean, this could cause several accidents here. So again, we huddled.
Mm.
And I bring it to the attention of the cabinet. I engaged Shell at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, okay, they will help. And we built a gas station there,
Yeah.
Subi's Fishermen Cooperative. It was defunct. There was nothing happening at Subi's Fishermen Cooperative. Bankrupt. We put a 7-man committee in place through the cooperatives, the Ministry of Cooperatives. We work with them and we put a 7-man committee in place to resurrect the Subi's Fishermen Cooperative.
Okay.
And we put a gas station in the hand.
Yeah.
And we stood the security for the first shipment of gas coming into the gas station for the Subi's fishermen and the Grenville and that Grenville fishing market there.
Yeah.
We added the Granitang Road was included as part of a fisheries access road. The Japanese government
Japanese.
built a brand new bridge in Bird Cove. Today I hear guys making a lot of noise about two little box drain they open up in Granite Tanga. They're making a lot of noise about that. Now, when you're going through Granite Tanga, in the past, whenever it rains, you see a lot of slide used to come. There's netting. The Japanese government placed netting all alongside the road so that in the case of a slide, there's no movement of the soil. We have less slides in Bertico in Granite Tanga Road now. So, as Minister of Fisheries and as a rural person, I recognize the importance of fishing to our community, and hence the reason why I was aggressive in developing a fisheries policy and a fisheries policy and fisheries infrastructure. And my God, we did.
Yeah.
So it is safe to say that the new national party has established a solid foundation as it relates to our export crop soursop and our another export lucrative commodity fishing.
Yeah.
And we do not want to see anything happening to
Yeah.
that.
Michael, I want to jump in and thank you for that wonderful history. It's important that we know the history. I know sometimes the intellectual says a man who doesn't know his history is like a tree without roots, basically a dead tree. But Michael, I want to go into the future. I want to speculate a little with you now. If we get to the point and the ban is enforced and we can't sell the fish, what other options do you see that's available to our fisher folks in terms of sales, etc.? I would like your thoughts on that.
All right. Well, let us look at P.T. Martinique, Carrico and P.T. Martinique. You know, Carrico and P.T. Martinique depend heavily on fishing and livestock for the survival.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to the linesmen, the longliners in P.T. Martinique. Because there's over 100 longliners in P.T. Martinique. And I know what they will do. They will sell the fish in the open sea at a fraction of the cost. Because in the past, the St. Lucian based Martinique boats would meet them halfway and collect the lambi and collect our fish. And these boats are registered in Martinique. They will go across to Martinique with this fish with no problem because Martinique, being a part of the European Union by virtue of France
It's a colony.
administering these
Yeah.
islands.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a French
So
colony.
right. So one of the things that we have to look at is we have to make contact with some of the exporters in Martinique quietly, and we will have to ship our fish on sea. We will have to sell our fish on sea to Martinican boats that can take it into Martinique, and once it gets to Martinique, is automatically inside the European Union. Yeah. So the European, so they would have no problems in shipping fish to the United States because they are not under no ban. They okay. But you know, speaking of dependent ban,
But we lose
look at
money.
who. Yes, but look at who look at the grouping we are faced with, and tell me if that is by accident. Cuba, Venezuela, Russia. Okay,
Togo.
they stick Togo. They stick Saint Lucia.
No, that's a
They,
joke. That but Mr. Pierre and the technician,
well, watch
they
me.
bring it up.
They stick Saint Lucia. They stick Saint Lucia into it. But let me tell you about that Saint Lucia being there. Saint Lucia hardly ship fish to the United States because of the closeness between Saint Vincent and Martinique, and by extension Guadeloupe. The Saint Lucian boats, most of them can go into Martinique or can go into Martinique waters. and they can ship they ship their fish to the European Union.
Yeah.
So St. Lucian fishermen enjoy a healthier profit from the export of fish than the Grenada.
Right.
While we depend on Amerijet,
Mm-hmm.
St. Lucia just, which is right next door,
Yeah. Yeah.
will send their boats, and some of the boats are registered in Martinique.
Uh huh. Oh.
So they being on the list is neither here nor there for them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. So, Michael,
they
tell
have a
me,
market.
Michael, what about Barbados and Trinidad and other islands around us? Any thoughts on those? Do they buy fish? Is there a market that
Well,
we could sell our
um,
fish?
yeah, there's a market up the Leeward Islands. And Antigua buy some fish. Tortola
Ah.
buy some fish. Um, the Turks and Caicos.
Mm-hmm.
I remember many years ago when there was a glut of fish in the Grenville cool room that couldn't sell. I had a buyer up in Tatula that that bought two containers of fish from Grenville.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at the cost. We have to look at the cost of freight. Now, at the time, in those times, freight was not as expensive as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, you're looking at the cost of airfare from here to Trinidad is sometimes costing more than that going to the United States. So
Mm-hmm.
freight is expensive. Freight is expensive
Yeah.
and sometimes unreliable.
Yeah.
You see, the reason why the U.S. market is so easily, you have a Amerijet, it can fly into Grenada and the U.S. 3-4 times a week. We
Mm-hmm.
have already market in Miami and New York and Boston and some of these areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So America is the ideal market for us. While there may be other markets, but it is not a lucrative market and it is not a reliable market.
Mm-hmm.
You say Barbados. Barbados have a fishing industry. Yes, they do a lot of flying fish and so forth. But Barbados do export fish as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not on that ban.
Yeah.
So if they're buying fish from us, they're buying at a lower cost. A pound of tuna in the United States is close to 20 US dollars.
Uh-huh.
And American consume a lot of fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And America, you could say, is the consumer capital of the world.
Yeah. Is the
That is why
yeah, Michael, the
every
sushi,
every nation,
the sushi comes from the
yeah.
tuna?
Yes, the Japanese do sushi as well, but they do other catch with it, not just tuna.
Okay.
But thinking about shipping fish to Africa, as I heard they were saying, they want to look at Africa as a market, and that in itself is laughable.
Yeah.
Whether it is our cocoa, Africa have a lot of cocoa.
Yeah.
Maybe their cocoa is not as
Yeah.
nutritious as ours.
Yeah,
Um,
we have the
but Africa,
flavor in cocoa.
well, yes, but Africa have a lot of cocoa,
Yeah, so they
and
use our
Grenada,
sorry, they use our cocoa to flavor the African cocoa.
yes, yes. I'm not saying no, but in terms of looking at Africa as an alternative market, I don't know how feasible that would be because of the distance and the freight and
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot
Yeah.
knock out a bird in the hand for
Mm.
a bird in the bush. A bird in the hand is
Two
worth
in the
more
bush.
than a bird in the bush.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just want to
yeah.
interject just one little thing, Mike. Part of the struggle we've have in the Caribbean with CARICOM has been the freight or the transportation. The reason we struggle quite a lot in terms of our economies is because we've never conquered the transportation, the cost, and the infrastructure. That is one of our biggest challenges in CARICOM.
Well, CARICOM is all man food bagay. I mean, it's takaye. Everybody. everybody looking after their own interests in CARICOM.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you listen to the Trinidadian Prime Minister? She
No.
said that America can use Trinidad soil anytime
Mm-hmm.
to launch an attack on Venezuela if needs be. That's what she said. But you know what
Wow.
was interesting? What was interesting? All the islands in the Caribbean that getting oil from Venezuela through Petrocaribe, all of them were silent.
Mm-hmm.
America, America blew up a Venezuelan boat,
Mm-hmm.
and not one Caribbean leader would voice concern.
Mm-hmm.
Not one Caribbean, because you know why? They all afraid Donald Trump.
Yeah. Okay. Let
There,
me.
there's hold one sec, bro. The woman a woman in Barbados, leader in Barbados, her mouth was the loudest,
Mm-hmm.
and she talking as if she's a spokesman for the liberal world.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump just sent her one little warning, a travel advisory warning. The State Department issued a travel advisory warning to Americans
Mm-hmm.
to be careful in going to Barbados because of dangerous gangs.
Yeah.
Immediately,
She
Yeah.
tail go be
immediately,
chinchilla.
Miaka went mute.
Yeah. Right.
Immediately, Mira went mute. But you know what they're doing? They're hiding in the dock, recognizing that Grenada have three parrots,
Three lunatic.
Deacon, Andal, and Cornwall.
Political
So they're
lunatics.
hiding in the dock and they're carrying on the three Grenadian parrots.
Yeah.
And
My,
they're shouting, give him Deacon, give him Deacon.
yeah. Listen.
But they're not saying it themselves because they recognize the consequences involved.
Yeah. Michael, on that theme, I just want to ask a little question. One of the observations that many people have made over the years in terms of Caribbean politicians is that we don't really understand international politics. We're not experienced in terms of international politics. We think we're free and we could say what we want. What's your thoughts in terms of that issue, especially as you linked it in the past with the 1979 episode and what's going on now? Have no, sorry, have you come across that kind of discussion where we're a little naive in terms of our thinking? Or what's your thoughts? I'll leave it to you.
All right. Well, it appears to me as if the Grenadian electorate have not really learned anything from the past. In 1979, a group of young people overthrew a government with guns. And a few years later, they started killing each other. It prompted the United States military to land in Grenada. And at that time, America and Cuba started, American military and Cuban personnel started shooting and killing one another. 19 Americans were killed in that process. Scores of Cubans were killed along with along with Grenada. And just when you thought that we, the electorate, would learn, history repeating itself all over again.
Yeah.
Here we come across a Grenada, Cuba American scenario again. And you mentioned the right thing about global politics. Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, is a Cuban descendant. His parents was involved in the Bay of Pigs invasion. They flee Cuba. Marco Rubio is a possible presidential candidate for the next for the Republican for the next election. He was a candidate along with Bush. I mean, along with
Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump prevailed in Donald Trump first term. He ran. Donald Trump now is a lame duck president. He's got 3 years to go. He got 3 years to go. NDC had 2 years to go. But NDC will go. NDC will go before him. I'm showing that. Now,
Remember, it's our agriculture program.
thank you. Now, Marco Rubio is positioning himself as a conservative for the conservative wing of the Republican Party, who generally vote in the primaries. His main rival now is P.D. Vance, the vice president, and DeSantis, who is the governor of Florida, who is also a Cuban. So Marco Rubio is trying to go up front now, sending a message to the Republican Party that he's the real
McCoy.
successor to Donald Trump. To Donald Trump. So he's taking a hardline position against Cuba. But let us look at the Cuban situation. You know, Grenada, and sometimes we have those fake leftist politicians in Grenada. And if you give them a chance, they will bramble everyone that listens to them.
Oh.
This crisis with Grenada, that Grenada finds itself with America over Cuba, it's a smoke screen. My brother, Grenada, this government already abandoned Cuba. And let me repeat, this government already abandoned Cuba. This government signed $100 million agreement, US dollar agreement, with an American company, American hospital, Mount Sinai.
Fake.
And we started to rise our hospital. When Mount Sinai take over our hospital, our medical institution, there is no way, my brother, Mount Sinai would honor the agreement, whatever agreement Grenada have with Cuba. The Americans would not agree to withhold 70% of the Cuban pay and send to Cuba, because they know fully well that is against. They will be breaking the embargo set by the United States government.
Mhm.
So when you hear these Grenadian authorities talking and they're saying they go stand by Cuba, the Cubans know better. About 2 or 3 months ago, upon signing of the agreement, we gave the American Mount Sinai Hospital $7 million US.
Wow.
When we signed the agreement, the
Wow.
same Cubans are sweating in our hospitals. If you love Cuba so much, why, when you have money to spend, you sign in multi-million-dollar contract with an American company, and you're living out Cuba, and you love Cuba? You're saying you have a moral obligation with Cuba? Didn't you have a moral obligation? Didn't you have a moral obligation to sign the agreement with Cuba? What service can Mount Sinai produce that Cuba can produce?
Mhm.
From 1979 up to today, Cuba have trained over 1,000 Grenadian personnel. Mount Sinai have not even given us a Panadol. But you're talking this nonsense about your standing with Cuba.
Yeah.
And you know darn well that once Mount Sinai take control of our medical facilities, whatever agreement that you have with Cuba is out the door. And
Mhm.
you know that.
Mhm. Michael.
You see, okay, 1 second. You see, Deacon Mitchell is such a hypocrite. The Cubans know very well the man is a hypocrite. The world knows he's a hypocrite.
Mhm.
Same Deacon Mitchell went to the United Nations, and in his own elegant way, you hear him saying that you hear him saying we must we must find a way to resolve this Haitian crisis. And this Haitian crisis has been going on for too long. 2 weeks later, some Haitians dare come to Grenada. Deacon Mitchell don't even let them land.
Fake.
Mhm. Okay.
So the world knows that this is a man that has talked on both sides of his mouth.
Mhm.
So this Cuba America thing that they come up with that was unnecessary. If America is saying that the agreement with Grenada constitute human trafficking, it is not Grenada alone. They say Cuba agreement with the world. The
Mhm.
Bahamian government immediately say they go review the argument, send a delegation to Havana, send one to Washington.
Mhm.
Marco Rubio say, okay, fine, no problem. Jamaica said they go comply. Trinidad said they go comply. Mia Motley started making talking a lot of stubbornness until the advisory warning was posted. Then she humbled herself.
Mhm.
It is only the three parts in Grenada that making this
Political
unnecessary noise.
lunatics.
Yeah. Ma- ma-
Michael, that is political lunatic.
yeah. Michael, the conversation is very nice, but
That is political lunatics.
yeah, this morning we go in from agriculture into politics, but before we go, we're already in politics. But I just want to go back to two questions before I kind of, kind of, what can I do? Relax a bit more. The first question is: has the government approached you in terms of advice in terms of the fisher thing? And the second question is: any advice on the hurricane season for our farmers? We're in the hurricane season already, and then you're free to go into the politics.
Well, I suppose the prime minister may be telling them plant more black pepper. So, so in terms of what was the first? Whether if they had turned to me for advice?
Yeah, because you're like
Well,
a fountain of
I
knowledge.
had a I had a meeting with the my MP some time ago. He didn't ask. The only help he asked me for is to not get involved in the politics because he needed his second term,
Uh,
and he he
you
asked
you're
he
not.
asked me that I should stay away from anything in the southwest because of the mention of my name in southwest does bring some happy memories to the people there. And he wanted to thank me for all the things that I did there, and I should stay away, no matter with the politics, whatever
Yes.
area that I feel that
Yeah.
I need help.
Yeah.
Um, I should inform. But you see, this government have failed us in so many ways in terms of agriculture. The World Bank gave us $27 million for the development of livestock, and this is not politics, Josh. We paid $4 million for 463 goat, sheep, and piglets. So roughly, it's about 8,000 plus almost $9,000 for a piglet.
Mm-hmm.
And we mind the piglet for we've been minding these animals for over a year. Some of these some of these animals are not really receptive to our local conditions. Some of the goats are trembling, they're dying. I have report that they even importing grass into Grenada. They call it hay, but it's grass. They importing
You didn't know?
they importing grass. They importing grass into Grenada. But they give contracts because the NDC is very good at that, and the present government. And we do not give them, I know it's not politics, but we do not give them enough credit for that. I think we have to give NDC a lot of credit for the security industry in Grenada.
It's
Grenada have the most security companies per capita probably in the world.
security
Every
booming.
every every government building, every school in Grenada have at least two NDC security contractors guarding it. In some cases, they got in a medical station that don't have a bandage. So I'm wondering. and
24/7.
and here the latest one now. When you go in Grenville, you see the man altering the design of the fish market. He blocking up all around the fish market. And you know why he blocking it up, sir? In spite of having four securities there and four NDC security companies there, two for the day, two for the night. They say people come in at night and thieving all the fish from the cold room. So, so, so they're not relying NDC, though they're talking technology. They're not relying on modern technology. They're not saying, well, let me train some people in the installation of closed socket TV powered by solar energy so that we could save millions of dollars by installing security cameras around these government facilities. Just look at our banks. Our banks where billions of dollars is stored. You pass in the bank at night, not you don't even see anybody you see hanging around there is probably a vagrant. You ever see any security guarding a bank building where it's millions of dollars?
The bank has to make
None.
profits.
No, the bank does not have one person guarding the building where billions of dollars are stored.
Hmm.
But here you have in any all kind of corners,
Yeah, point taken.
you have security. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
so so in terms of getting advice, I don't know. I don't feel they need advice. They know it all. I believe with the crisis that we face, my advice to them is to engage the the opposition. The former prime minister have a lot of experience in how we dealt with this our sup, how we dealt with the fishing in ICAT, how we dealt with the HACCP in the European Union. I believe they should engage the opposition and they should form a bipartisan team because I don't know if any of them have good standing with the United States that they could they could request a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture where we could find a resolve to the many situations that we face. I don't know if any one of them could sit down with the post office in the United States, the commissioner, and see how we could find common grounds where our fishing, our farin, our sea moss, our bay leaf, our tanko bean, our
sauce up
spices
leaves.
could get to so police could get to America again. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I could tell them the procedures that we use and how effective it was, but I'm not so sure that they'll be willing to listen.
Yeah, but your advice is good advice and it's in the national interest. And sometimes we forget that it's the national interest that's important. And in terms of what's been going on recently, it certainly sounds like sensible advice to get the people who have experience, to get, the opposition and the government. To actually come together to solve these issues for Grenada because at the end of the day the elected individuals are there to represent the people and we must never lose sight of the fact that it's what's best for Grenadians that government has to be doing and the opposition. So that's a very constructive piece of kind of advice. Whether anybody takes it, I don't know, but I hope they do. Mm.
Yeah, well, but you see, it is a national security issue. The fishermen, the longliners in PT Martinique,
Mm-hmm.
they owe in the banks. The
Yes.
longliners in Guam, they owe in the banks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have children to send to school. They have mortgage to meet. They
Yeah,
have
yeah,
commitment.
yeah,
They have employees.
yeah. We get into the
I mean,
meat.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's serious business there.
Mm-hmm.
This
Like,
this is no this is not local politics.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we know people. There are people in Grenada that knows people in Washington that have dealt with them before. They know the procedure, how to contact how to contact the State Department asking for a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. It's something you just can't walk into his office like that. You will have to have a meeting and discuss the matters relating to the postal corporation.
Mm-hmm.
How do we resolve this issue?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because America may issue one blanket statement, but when you sit and you negotiate with them, they may say, okay, because of your special situation, here is an exemption for you. We have to pursue that.
We have to
We we
pursue
have
our
we have to go
interest.
and we have to go and remind America that 19 American soldiers died here.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remind them that we are allies. We are no longer adversaries. We are allies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we have to remind them that there are more Grenadians living in America than there was living in Grenada.
Yes. For,
Ah,
yeah, for sure. So, Michael, you didn't answer my question about preparedness for the hurricane season for the farmers because you know we have potential issues of insurance claim, loss of crops, roofs, people roof flying in the sky and shingles gone, all kind of stuff. Any word on that for our farmers?
well, there was something called windban insurance. I don't know if that's still in existence. And because Grenada do not have what you say, they're not involved in bananas anymore, so I don't feel we covered for that. But we have CCRF, we have
Chris.
the we have, we have CRIF.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that our insurance premium is up to date.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that everything would be okay and they would pay up the insurance. The farmers are helpless in that case. What I could do is to advise our fishermen in the event of bad weather, they have to pull up their boats and ensure that their boats do not get damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, those living in low-lying the coastal areas, they would have to find ways to take their boat away out of danger.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the farmers is concerned, there's not much we can do. We are the mercy of nature.
Mm-hmm.
There.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, while we are at the mercy of nature, we want to beg the people who are listening to us to like the program and share the program and subscribe to Studio Galaxy. We need a live for us to grow. And we spend a lot of time on agriculture and we provide suggestions, very practical suggestions. Michael, we have two massive billion-dollar entities here, that not billion-dollar, million-dollar entities, that is the Cocoa Association and the Nutmeg Association. And both are capable of working together, could provide some psychological, mental, psychological helps because sometimes after disaster, farmers become very traumatic. Some of them dead. And don't you think that these organizations could have done better in terms of providing information or even no, provide information to farmers, making them understand that a hurricane is part of our menu and there shouldn't be a state of paralysis after an event.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you mentioned cocoa because should be told, my brother, cocoa is in a life support system. Huh? We haven't had serious intervention in the cocoa industry since 1978 when we had the Canadian Cocoa Rehabilitation Project. I don't know if we did anything after that. If we did, I stand corrected. Um, Cocoa is just barely existing, and I think that is an area that we should look seriously at rehabilitating. As far as our nutmeg goes, again, I remember when I was Minister of Agriculture, we had discussion with Indonesia and we formed a cartel. And at the time, we were able to, I don't want to say fix the price of nutmeg, because that may sound as if as a monopoly or if we engage in price fixing. But what we were able to do with Indonesia is to consult regularly as to when we can increase on the price of nutmeg. That went very well for a while. After Hurricane Ivan and Emily, I'm not so sure how much was done to resurrect the nutmeg industry.
Yeah.
We were once number one and number two. We are lagging at number 10 now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even Jamaica. Jamaica has creeped up on us.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica was not a nutmeg producing island. Now Jamaica produce more nutmeg than we do. We Sri Lanka
Mm-hmm.
and Sri Lanka is say they now producing better quality, bigger and better quality than Grenada.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's work to be done, and there's work. Maybe we should pray that the hurricane season passes by.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to go back to the drawing board as to the way forward for nutmeg and cocoa.
Yeah.
I
Michael.
mean, our four parents left us with a vibrant industry, nutmeg and cocoa, because
Yeah.
they did replant after Hurricane Janet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can't say the same thing for our children.
Yeah. My.
We are leaving our children without a vibrant cocoa and nutmeg industry,
Yeah.
and I think we have to do something about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things we've talked about, Michael, on this program over and over quite a few times is where is the recovery plan for Beryl? Beryl came and in terms of ministry leadership, etc., we kept asking for the recovery plan in terms of cocoa, nutmeg, well, agriculture per se. We kept asking, okay, are we going to have 500 acres of nutmeg replanted or cocoa, whatever? But the recovery plan never materialized. And,
Well,
without the
I'm not so
leadership,
sure. I'm not so sure you would expect anything from this government. Let's face it. Beryl Beryl struck the Sister Isles and part of the northern part of the country. I mean, when you look at Hurricane Ivan and Emily, back to back hurricanes, and
hmm
how Grenada rebounded from that,
hmm
we have to say thank God that Beryl had mercy on us. They hit Carriacou.
hmm
Carriacou was hit unfortunately, and
devastated.
St. Patrick's.
Yeah.
Yes, but we we have yet to hear of any plan of anything for the resurrection of, yes, man, of the rural economy. Yeah.
hmm hmm
So I think the next election, whenever it is called, one of the main issues that should be ventilated is our food security, because we are witnessing a time now when, through globalization, tariffs, the time is now where we have to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
we we have we have we have we have the capacity, like we did before, to be self-sufficient.
hmm
So it's not so much export anymore.
hmm
Export is important,
hmm
but our first priority is to looking at our food import bill
hmm
and looking at how we could reduce on the food import bill for local consumption.
Yeah.
Should we enter into a crisis now? You see, you talk about the hurricane and the farmers. Should
Yeah.
we enter into a crisis now? Have it crossed across your mind in terms of with food security? What would happen? We
Yeah.
have a shortage of livestock in the country. Yeah,
hmm
we have a shortage of livestock.
hmm
We have not boost up in that area, so
mm
we will have to depend heavily on the imports.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of agriculture crops. We still have cabbage and lettuce coming in from and cucumber coming in from Canada and Guyana. And we have an abundance of lands here, empty lands
Yeah.
that we should be putting in agriculture.
Yeah, and America. What I've been doing is filming the amount of imports in terms of cash crop that comes in, and the local people don't get an opportunity to sell the same. Like broccoli flour, I look at what's coming in, what's being brought in, and it's there. And then the farmers that I engage with, they can't sell their broccoli flour because of the arrangement that the hotels have with the importers. So
Well,
it's
you're touching a point there. All
mhm.
right, and here's what we did before. We had contract farming. You see, the Ministry of Agriculture lend itself to facilitating the as a go between the traditional users, the importers, the hotelers, the restaurant, and the farmers. And we organize contract farming. The hotels need supply on a consistent basis. You see, a hoteler cannot tell the guests who ordered tomato and eggs in the morning that they don't have tomato. You cannot tell if the guests that you need a slice of watermelon and you don't have watermelon, you don't have cantaloupes, and that is something you must have on your menu. So what we need to do is to engage farmers and the users, the traditional users, in a way as to produce quantum and quality on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
We have lands that lends itself to production of different crops year round, lands where river and irrigation is available. So if we go back to the contract farming, if we go back to contract farming, the hotelers will know what to expect because they would specify quality. Because our farmers have a habit of producing inferior quality because they pay very little. They pay no attention to what is needed. We need consultation with that to get our farmers to grow specification. If you're growing cucumber, the hotels would require certain size, certain quality. We just can't pick up anything and sell. Whereas hoteliers have concession, they could bring in a container of cucumber, the size they want, and the amount that they need. So we have to go back and make the linkages. And that is how we link agriculture with tourism
Mm-hmm.
by getting the hotels to do so. In the same way with livestock. And I say livestock, you know, the former government built a modern facility abattoir in Maribor. I mean, Josh, if you look at how they're killing animals in Maribor, the world should ban us from even slaughtering any animals locally. The world should intervene in the inhumane way that we're doing. We take it, and this government now they're telling you that all animals have to be killed in the abattoir. And when you go to the abattoir, you see someone with a piece of iron, and they will take a piece of iron and beat the pig over his head or beat the cow over his head and kill it.
Okay.
I mean, let's get real. And sometimes we wonder why international agencies just put all the restrictions on us. There was stun gun in Maribor. The stun gun has disappeared. I understand it's in St. Vincent. How could we continue slaughtering animals by taking a piece of heavy iron and beating it over the head. Sometimes you hit it one time here, dead. You hit it the second, the third time to kill it. That is cruel and inhumane treatment
We had
of
to get some,
animals.
they had to get some strong fellas to beat it.
This is not a laughing matter, bro. We have a modernized abattoir. I remember myself and Michael Church with Johnny to Italy sometime, and FAO was having a meeting, and the Secretary General was going up for re-election, and we huddled the Caribbean islands together, and we were able to squeeze something out of him. Each island were able to squeeze something out of him for our support to as to be the Secretary General of FAO, and we got some money for the abattoir. We took out the abattoir from Grenville, where blood and all of that was streaming. You remember that? When any Saturday passing Grenville, Monday, Tuesday, you see.
Remember the
blood
dogs? Dogs all about
right.
coming down.
And then with Grenville on the sea level, sometimes the blood don't even flow down in the sea. Sometimes for days you pass and you smell the stench. And we avoid that. We build a modern facility. The incinerator is done. I understand the boiler is done. And we're making no stun gun is gone. And we're making no effort to update our facility. Thank God we're not exporting meat. If we were exporting meat to any country, they would ban us. Because no country in the world would want any meat from Grenada where you're beating up an animal in the head with a piece of iron. So we need to intervene immediately, bro.
That's why we said
that is
the farmers and a reckless, careless government.
Yes. We need to stop it. What happened to the stun gun?
Maybe you have stone in it.
I mean, those are what we did before the FAO. While we make the recommendations and the request for assistance for a modern abattoir, out of the $27 million that government gave us to develop livestock, and we buy some pigs there,
4 million,
and we overfeed them so much to the point that they can't breathe, they can't stop. So they're just running around, they're useless. One pig balls weighing about 50 pounds.
Well, they got to
they can't stop, they can't breathe. You understand?
And you have a
so we
Michael, the Minister of Agriculture, right in Maribor there. He cut off the water from the Maribor farmers. After 26 years, he said, one farmer.
Well, I don't just see it as the Minister of Agriculture. I see it as an indictment on the whole administration. Because during cabinet meetings, individual ministers would have to give a report on the stewardship on the ministry under their control. It's not just in Parliament where you have ministerial statement, but even in the cabinet. I mean, let's face it, man. Agriculture was on the go. We even organized a National Farmers Day where we get farmers together to come and see the growth that was taking place, because after we went through the millibug and agriculture started rising again, we gave farmers the opportunity, come and see what's going on. Come and participate. Come with your ideas. I mean, God have mercy on the things that taking place right now, brother.
NDC have always been a disaster where agriculture is concerned. Millibug came in their period.
Agriculture and fishing.
Millibug came in their period.
Agriculture. Yes.
And the cut down Belvedere Nutmeg in their period.
Well, that again, you know, and you know what? It just so happened that I happen to experience all of that, because all of that and more fell under our watch. You know, today, others ball. I hear some NDC fellas complaining about, oh, a little Congaree. They see a little Congaree, and this one left Congaree, a little Congaree for them, and they balling about a Congaree. The whole of Grenada, brother,
Millibug.
the whole of Grenada was covered with millibugs. Yeah? We didn't panic. Hold on. I see some parade passing through. Give me a minute.
There's a good period to if you to like our program. It's a good
Today we are promoting electric vehicles. Electric vehicle is suitable.
you see that when I tell you it's a lunatic group, you think it's a joke?
No,
It's
yeah.
a lunatic
Let's
group.
let's go back to Belvedere. Because you know, the truth have not been told about these guys, you know. Belvedere. Now, under Brisson as Minister of Agriculture, he purchased lands from the Campbell family. Lands that should have been just with a stroke of the pen, declared as forest reserve. I think it was 250 acres he bought from them. But actually, you could say about 120 acres were actually lands, the others was forest. And he paid so much money for the lands, and he resold it to the farmers at exorbitant cost. And the agreement was that the proceeds from the sale of bananas will go towards paying for the lands. And the banana industry collapsed. It collapsed because the albatross that we used to get from Holland, he stopped getting it. And through our NDC surrogate, they got some fertilizers from Mexico.
Wrong
And
fertilizer.
that fertilizer created a problem with the leaf spot. So first we were hit with the leaf spot. And then immediately while we're trying to recover from the leaf spot, we were hit with the millibug. And I don't have to tell you what happened with that again. The whole agriculture sector collapsed. The banana industry collapsed. Farmers were losing their money. He got NIS to take over the payments. NIS took over the payments from the farmers. They couldn't pay NIS. And if my memory serves me right, I believe NIS probably own most of the lands up there now.
They own some in
Because,
Rivantoine, they give them some of the land for it.
well, Rivantoine again was a sort of thing here.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to go
No,
into that.
let's leave
Rivantoine.
this
I will
one.
leave that one alone.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Because
disasters, yeah.
I negotiated the agreement with Sainsbury's supermarket for organic bananas, and Rivantoine was not the appropriate place for bananas. We had the traditional area, Belvedere, Windsor, Closey, Chantilly. So that was an error in judgment there. So let's leave that one alone. Yeah. But Rivantoine, Belvedere was a complete disaster in Belvedere. The NIS own most of the lands up there. No. So you cannot identify one single thing that the NDC did in terms of agriculture and fisheries that you could say yes, their interests lie there.
There's no
And
positive
as I
thing that they
said,
did. None.
well, just look around Grenada and you could see all the fisheries facilities, the fisheries infrastructure.
Yeah, it's in
We set up.
NNP period. Yeah.
We got engines. We got engines for fishermen, and we set up a fisherman fund. So when things like the HACCP stand requirement came about, and they needed funds to help them meet up the standards, they could turn to the fisherman fund. Even the pre-day larceny. And I'm glad you touched that because I see today NEC holding press conference and they're talking about pre-day larceny as if it's something new. The pre-deal larceny started in Sates with a guy named MacLeish as a farm watch. And they invited me to a meeting once. And I went to the meeting. And I was impressed with what was happening. I went back to cabinet and I spoke with the then prime minister and the leader of the cabinet and I said, look, government need to get involved in this farm watch thing because farmers are losing a lot and farmers themselves, they want gun, they want this and all of that. And to avoid all of that, let us get government involved. He said he will talk to Bido and I should contact Bido. We contacted then Commissioner of Police, Fitzroy Bido. We met with the farmers and we came up with a solution. We say, you know what? We're going to take over the farm watch and we call it a pre-larceny task force. And we didn't stop there. We went to Parliament. We introduced legislation. Whereby if someone is apprehended stealing farmers' crop, whatever the magistrate charged them, we established a pre-larceny fund administered by the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture. In other words, whatever the magistrate charged that person, that money went straight to the pre-larceny fund. Even if the person didn't pay, by virtue of a conviction, we had over $3 million in the pre-larceny fund so that the farmer don't have to wait until the culprit pay, and sometimes he don't pay, he end up in jail. Or the farmer, every day the farmer have to walk to the Grenville and inquire whether or not any money was paid on his behalf. We say no. So we established a pre-larceny fund. That fund has expired a long time. That fund needs to be reactivated so that anytime anybody's caught stealing farmers' produce, whether it's the sheep, the goat, the banana, whatever, if the police apprehend somebody with perishable item like bananas or whatnot that you cannot hold until the court, you'll take photographs, you dispose of it, and you deposit that money in pre-larceny fund, and that money will go to the farmer. One of the first recipients of that was a guy named Skip Clouden.
Lucky fella.
His farm was vandalized in West Hall. And he came to the ministry scheming. It was steaming. It was watermelon and other thing and cantaloupe that was damaged.
Pritlal on the back.
Immediately, right, we sent out a evaluator. They came back with a number. A claim was made. The Minister of Finance then, Dr. Mitchell, was notified, and a check was handed to Skipper Clouden. A lot of farmers were compensated through the pre-larceny fund. What they're doing now, they buy vehicles.
Yeah.
They employ a set of people.
Contract.
But the farmer themselves, they're not looking after the farmer. The workers are getting paid. But if you're caught stealing farmers' produce now, you have to wait until whoever they hold stealing it, you have to wait until they pay before the farmer get paid. Not so at all it was. You understand? So some things they're copying, but they're not copying right.
They don't even. They can't even copy good. It's a disaster. They can't even copy good.
Right.
Yeah, Michael.
So those are some of the things that we need to change. Yeah.
So Michael, I'm going to take my departure because I have another engagement. But can I say how pleased I am that you took the invitation and you shared so much valuable knowledge with the listeners, and it's greatly appreciated. I mean, it's always a little difficult talking with you because you have such a range of knowledge from agriculture to the politics to all different areas, pre-larceny, etc. What I wish is that you come on the program ever so often and engage with us. But this morning, I'm going to take my leave and say thank you to you. Mr. Pierre will go deep with you in the politics.
Well, you know, Brother Josh, the pleasure is always mine to be on the program with you and Francis. But let me say sometimes because I have so much on my plate, sometimes is not possible. And in terms of my my sort of knowledge in these areas, I was born in the mountains of Grenada. You understand? I probably was the first minister of agriculture that actually born in the mountains of Grenada. So when you're talking about agriculture, you're talking my language because I eat, I sleep, I grow. Everything that I did was agriculture. Sometimes we haven't seen a shop for a whole 2 or 3 weeks. All we know is agriculture. Whether it's pong breadfruit, roast breadfruit, fried breadfruit, steamed breadfruit. That's how we live. Whether we boil the potato, we bake the potato, we cook the potato, we pong the potato. That's how we live with agriculture. So I understood. I saw the corn in the rafter, the lad pan of the local pig in the house. I grew up at a time when we eat local, and even the salt,
Mm-hmm.
even the salt that we use were local.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not to mention the sugar, because
Mm-hmm.
we used to make wet sugar here.
Mm-hmm.
So you would go and get a lad panna with sugar and you put it there and you use a little wet sugar to thing here. You would go down by the bayside and you pick up salt, and
Mm-hmm.
you take the salt and you pong it and you have your salt there.
Yeah.
So it is when they start talking about eat what you grow and grow what you eat. I guess they were talking about the bourgeois. They couldn't be talking to poor people like me that grew up in a struggle and understand what food security really means, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So the pleasure is always mine to come on the program and talk to you sometime. It's just that time sometime because I have my hands full.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to urge the electorate. This thing about youth in politics again is good. But the issue coming up is not about young people. The country is in a crisis. The country is in a crisis and we need all hands on deck.
Mm-hmm.
And those who have experience must not even consider quitting. You
Mm-hmm.
must consider dying with your boots on because Grenada is heading down a precipice. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of things our young people need to learn. Some of them come into the table, they want to sit around the table, but they bring nothing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a guy like redhead down in the northeast. People vote for the guy. Tell me what contribution can he make towards development of Grenada? The guy does not even know the requirement to sell a vehicle because he never had one.
Mm-hmm.
So what could he really bring? I mean, seriously, there's nothing wrong with youth, but don't vote for people just because they're young. Vote for them because they have something
To
to offer
contribute.
the country. And thing here, first we used to vote for people because they say they light skin. Then we started voting for them because they say they're bright.
Mm-hmm.
And we realize all of that are failures. Now we're gone now. We're talking about youth. We're voting for them because they're young.
Mm-hmm.
What stupidness is that? You're voting for a person because they're young,
Mm-hmm.
with nothing to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
What contribution will they make in cabinet? What we need, this country at the moment need experience, mature, experienced people to guide us out of the mess that we're in right now. Thank
Well,
you so much.
that's why I invited you to the program.
We don't need to. Well, you're getting no praise from me for coming on the program because he knows he's free to come anytime. And whenever he is there, I prefer to
Well,
stay quiet.
it's my pleasure. I like the platform because
Yeah.
we are able to talk about the issues affecting Grenada, and we talk about it without fail. You understand? And but Grenadians must understand that Grenada is in a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Grenada is in a crisis at the moment. We are at war, economic war. Bombs are not dropping, guns are not firing, but America have their hands in Grenada throat. They are squeezing us economically, and we need mature people to go to Washington to sit with the political director to ask for mercy. And this government need to fire Cornwall and Andal immediately. To appease the America, you need to tell them, well, the views expressed by Cornwall and Andal are not those of the government and the people of Grenada. But then again, they can't talk in the
The
same
corrupt
so
in,
you
I
can't
thought
say
you were
that.
going for the corrupt in chief first. But Michael, sometimes I have difficulties understanding why our politicians fighting to be in confrontation with the United States, bearing in mind that our economical realities are practically tied to the United States.
Well, you see again that because we have fake leftists.
Yeah, he's
Look,
only
look, look, look look at who they have. Look at who they have advising them.
only three good
And
communists here in
it's not
Grenada.
just
Chester Humphrey,
it's
John
not just
Galton. I know good communists.
watch me. It's not just it's not just America, you know. The guy gone and he say he take up the pledge.
Yeah.
Which sound good. Song as nationalism, let me pledge to Grenada instead of England. But is it practical? Is it workable? Is it truthful? We still have RBPGF, the Royal Grenada Police Force,
Yeah.
RGPF, huh?
Yeah, it's a
We
fake.
still have Her Majesty Prison.
They deceive the
The
public.
Parliament itself, we still have we still clad in the attire of the British.
The mace and the.
So what good is that?
Mm. This
But
guy
you
is a
know,
fake.
Francis. But you know, Francis, what we need at the moment is not constitution reform. You know, what we need is judicial reform. Too many of our young people ending up in prison.
Yeah.
Too many of our young people developing criminal record. They have a prison record. You're picking up a man. You're charging a young fella who on the hustle for picking up a passenger on a non-prescribed bus stop. You go to the court and the court look at the law. It say $500. And the guy look at it. He say, "And look at my pay, man. I go take $500 or a month in prison." He say, "Well, a month in prison is 3 weeks, man.
Take the month.
Let me go and spend it. Let me go and take the month." We must find an alternative sentencing. There are poor people. There are poor young people on remand for a long time. Sometimes by the time the case get to the magistrate court and the magistrate court say your matter dismissed, they already do a year or so.
Yeah.
You have you have a government that introduced, they say, the gun law. They introduce a gun law. And they tell you 40 years for a man caught with a gun. But those who use the gun to kill, those who use the gun and line up people to kill so many of them, you pardon them. You pardon those who use the gun and kill so many. Because in your opinion, you said they're too good to dead. They come from good stock. So we cannot execute them. So you set them free and today they become advisors to present government. But the little kakabawi who have nobody, you have no problem in putting them away for 40 years. Because we created two sets of judicial system. One for who come from the so-called high stock and those who come from blogger stock. So how could we solve crime in Grenada with two sets of laws? We have to go back to the board and create a law where one size fits all. We need judicial reform. If you say no bail for anybody caught with a gun, there should be no bail no matter how much money you have. It must not be bail for who could afford Ali Gale or Peter David. The law must be across the board. If you say no bail, no bail. We, NDC, cannot solve crime because they soften crime. They are the ones who free the 17.
They're
It was
inciting crime.
they watch them. Yes.
This present
So
regime.
yeah. So you free the 17 because they're too good to dead. But now you want to hang the Kakabawi. So how we go solve crime? And when the Kakabawi look and he see who is around you, a guy who was sentenced to death is now telling you, is now advising you on your constitution. So he become an advisor to the government. So what message are we sending? So the first thing that we need now, before we talk about constitutional reform, we need judicial reform. Let's have judicial reform. Let's have alternative sentencing. Let us have a reform system where our young people could get a serious second chance. Too many of our young people with criminal records. And that is something that we have to work on.
Michael, we just have about 7 minutes more, and that 7 minutes is yours. I'm just saying that a little bit, another little bit. I'm very disappointed that so much Grenadians are silent over the amount of corruption that is taking place with this government. I just want to react to that, and then after 7 minutes we close.
Well, the corruption starts at the top. You know, it's the first time we're hearing in our history, we hear in our prime minister of a company that's selling passport. A prime minister who is telling you that you are Grenadian and you're entitled to every benefit, which means that if government have anything that they're giving out, the minister can stand in the front and collect his fuss. There's no such thing anymore as conflict of interest. We have a development bank. Ministers can go to the bank and the families, and they can get all the loans that they want. A prime minister can travel freely. We don't know whether he's traveling on his company's business because he has a company that is engaged in selling passport. So we don't know whose business he's on, and we cannot ask him anything at all whatsoever. We see now where crime, alleged corruption is taking place in ministries, and the government is doing it, not a thing they're doing about it. As a matter of fact, they are punishing whoever report. We're hearing of a ministry where people are sent out to cash checks and bring back monies in the ministry, which is a clear violation of the financial and store rules. So corruption is the order of the day, whether it is in Lotto, whether it's in gravel and concrete, whether it's in government, whether it's in the CBI. But I don't know. I'm not so sure that the general public is aware of all the corruption taking place. We see all the nepotism that's taking place. We see all the conflict of interest. We see all the favoritism. We see a government now. A government now is engaged in economic strangulation of our people. The government economic policy is no different from that of what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza, where they're telling you they're strangling you economically. When the prime minister say the only reason why the other side is getting because you don't know who they are, is there any difference between what he's doing and what they're doing in Gaza? Economic strangulation. How could this be? I think the onus is upon opposition now to bring the useful message to the people so they could make a decision. As it stands now, people don't know what's going on. The government is now hiding and they're telling you, oh, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. Common sense would tell you that ants cannot fight an elephant. But that is how they have placed this country here, Grenada. They have put us in the path of destruction. All the Caribbean islands today, they are laughing at us. They are laughing at us because this tree parrot here has put us in the position. You didn't hear they revoke Gaurav Gonzalez visa. No. Mia Matli can go as she wish. No, they didn't revoke theirs. Because it doesn't matter how you feel about the United States of America. Their policy is their policy. And because our economy are so intertwined, you have to know what to say. So my brother, that is how I see it.
Yes, Michael. Michael, we have to continue speaking on those issues because the government seems to be very aggressive against those who speaking. We saw the attitude toward Jenny Simon using drones, Real FM, try strangulation. The farmers in Maribor, one of the men in Maribor seems to speak out and they cut off the water supply of almost 22 farmers. So I think those of us who are accustomed with the rum shop and don't afraid to talk, we have to continue.
Well,
And I agree with you,
you know,
the opposition had to wake up.
yeah, yes. Opposition had to wake up.
They had to
Watch
wake
me. It doesn't mean because NDC win you could beat them with no netball team, you know.
No, 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 no.
You understand? It doesn't mean because NDC weak you could come with any netball team and beat them. You have to be prepared now to fight, to get on the street and fight. Yeah? You have to be prepared to engage in political confrontation because the people at the moment does not even understand what's going on. There are so many issues out for ventilation the public needs to know. And sometimes they kept in the dark. Yeah? So, brother, we have to continue the journey. Yeah?
Yes, my brother, thank you very much. And we encourage people on Studio Galaxy to share our program. That's one of the ways. Those NNP that listen to us, I mean, come on, give us a blight. Subscribe to we program, share we program, like we program. We struggle. We're struggling. Give us a blight. Yes, like we program, subscribe. Those of you who don't know how to subscribe, seek assistance from your children or other members. Our program's struggling to grow. You know, we want to thank you very much, and we had a late start again. We apologize for it, but just once the Saturday come, we will be there. Thank you very much.
Politics, religion, and economic issue, regional, international, spiritual issues too, agricultural, environmental, and trending to subject matter. We fear none, we back down. Freedom of speech is enshrined in the land. God, we